Welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is a Ferrari F8 Tributo. Clue sort of in that name, it does hint that this is the last of the line of Ferrari's mid-engine V8. And what will come next, well, we don't know, but we can guess that the new technology is coming on board, hybrid or something, or V6, who knows. But the Tributo, I really wanted to drive this car, having enjoyed all the mid-engine V8 Ferraris over the years. You might remember in the garage we used to have that fiberglass white 308. Really lovely little car, little dainty car. So this is the end of the line, we suspect, of the mid-engine V8 Ferrari. Lots of things to discuss here. It's so powerful now, 720 metric horsepower. Crazy, 211 miles an hour for the junior Ferrari. Really quite exciting. Whole load of tech on it as well with this update. Obviously we're introduced to the turbo engine with the 488 GTB, and then we have the Pista, and then we've got this F8. So lots of detail to discuss. Let's go and have a closer look. Now the F8 Tributo obviously comes from 488 GTB and also I think 458, the design when we saw this sort of aggressive snake eyes, shall we call it, look of it, and this aggressive front with the splitter. I love the design of this mid-engine Ferrari, this line from 488 on. I think when you compare it to McLaren, there's an elegance with the Ferrari that's slightly missing with the McLaren. But this does look a sharper Armani suit, shall we term it, compared to McLaren, and it's all so functional. And then I remember this was launched at Geneva 2019, and when I first saw it, yeah, I thought they've done an absolutely cracking job. You remember the 458 had that strange sort of central exhaust, the twin exhaust on this, and then that lovely sort of round lights that we first saw on the 308 when it first came out. It's all part, I suppose, of this harking back to their tradition of mid-engine cars. And then also on this car, that Alexian rear window, which sort of gives away to the Ferrari F40 as a sort of homage to that as another ultimate V8 Ferrari. Quite remarkable when you think that was from memory, 475 horsepower, and here we are with the junior Ferrari at over 700 horsepower, 720 metric. You can even get carbon wheels on this car. They're not optioned on this one, fairly obviously, but they've really gone to town on this. In fact, the price of this car, well, it starts out of a list of £202,000, but this one, with all the extras you see on it, £325,000. Yes, this car has over £120,000 worth of options on it. I have to say the list of extras on this car is extraordinary. There's just too much. There's 2 pages of it. But there's everything on there. 4-point harness, safety harness, £2,000. Apple Play, still an extra £2,400, etc. And then it's endless carbon fibre. Everywhere you look, it's carbon fibre. There's this S duct here. They're quite proud of how this works, but this car is so techie. Everywhere you look, there's another duct in there. I can see something going on here as well. Diamond cut wheels are an extra. This 20-inch wheel. These are titanium wheel nuts. £980 those. Michelin Cup 2 tyres on this car. I think this car was actually spec'd for sort of track use, so that's the 4-point harness, etc. But it has everything on here. We've got bird's eye view, reversing mirrors, etc. Adds this sort of ugly nipple on here, which I don't really like. The shields, almost a bargain at £1,056. There's still an optional extra, good old Ferrari. This has sort of changed. This duct here, obviously this carbon is an option, but that used to be where the engine breathed as well as the intercooler. Now it's purely the intercoolers, because this part of the increase in horsepower is because it's got the bigger intercooler. The engine actually breathes through these ducts here at the back. And then this is a blow-and spoiler, so underneath, you think this ought to move, all this rear spoiler, but this is actually fixed. The movable aerodynamics on this car is on this sort of rear diffuser here. There are little flaps hidden away under there, they move. This car also has the sports exhaust, which I think is the finish here, which, as ever, a false exhaust, and if you peer in there, you can actually see the real exhaust. Anyway, let's have a quick look up the front. There we go. What gets me here, this is this S duct, so this is cut into the bonnet. You sort of see the hole there, comes through there, blows out over the top of the bonnet. That little insert, that's £1,920 to you, sir. The boot on here is sort of shrunk because of all the tech, but it does go in that way, so you know there is more space under here. Always very useful. I love how they now do this plaque. This tells you all the optional extras fitted on this car, who was made for, where it was distributed to. I think that's a really nice trick. It looks sort of quality as well. Weirdly, this is normally body coloured, but you can have it as a no-cost option to have it in black. Then we just go around the back. Now this obviously is Lexian, this, and you don't get a strut. You have to pull this out, and ye old style have a strut like that. Lashings of carbon fibre inside the engine bay here, as you can see, all this engine dressing around here, and then these covers actually on the engine themselves. You're looking, I think this is £5,500 and that is £4,500, so £10,000 in all to have your engine looking like this. What's slightly odd is these are just covers. I thought it says inlet manifold, but that isn't. That is literally a cover. The turbos, we suck in the air at the back, and then this is feeding air to the turbo. So this is filtered cold air coming in here, where it'll go into the intercooler and then into the turbo and going into the engine here. And there's no top manifold or anything. So this is literally engine dressing all this, but they do it ever so well. Beautiful aluminium. It's dry sump this. You can see the engine is sunk right down into the chassis, but that's your engine in there. Sorry, engine oil in there. Just what you want a Ferrari to look like, but I think it would look pretty good just with a red crackle top as the other option rather than the all black carbon fibre. But it does look terrific, and I love the way you look in there into the passenger cell as well. All part of this weight saving. This car is about 30 kilos lighter than the 488, slightly heavier than the Pista. And remarkably, 17 kilos of that weight saving was on that engine, sort of flywheel effect, crank, titanium conrods, that sort of thing. So, right, what we're going to do now, take it outside, see if all this tech works, and take it for a drive. F8 Tributo Ferrari all comes up on the dash. This car is fitted with these flipping 4-point harness only. You don't, if you go for 4-point harness, 2,100 and something pounds, you don't get a conventional seat belt. And one of my pet hates in a road car, I have to say. But yeah, this press car is all lavish with the carbon fibre all through door cars, etc. Quite nice actually, Alcantara. And the carbon is done in matte, which is another option on top of the other option or whatever. 812 Superfast vents, great big vents. Big fan of those. When we had that Superfast went down to France in it, they were really very good. Very good ventilation on it. If you're putting a 4-point harness on, I don't know why I'm giving a lesson, but always do the lap belt, get that as tight as you can, and once you've settled in, give it another little tug, and then do your shoulder straps, because you sort of sink into the seat and relax, and you want the temptation is just to pull on those, and then your lap belt climbs up, and you might as well not have it on if you have a really big bang. But anyway, safety lesson over. Press engine to start, and it's quite noisy. The first initial startup, the valves are obviously open. I have a radio on which I thought I'd turned off. Let's turn that off. 2 screens, central rev counter as you'd imagine. Red paint starts at just before 8,000 RPM. And then these 2 screens either side, which is sort of controlled by these. There is sat nav and stuff on that. Just don't bother, doesn't really work. Your phone is gazillion times better. I have to press OK to say this car is equipped and toggle up and decide what we're going to put on it on here. So speedo on there and the radios, etc. I'm going to put on this screen, I'm going to have tyre temperature and pressure. Because I've got those Cup 2 tyres on, I want enough temperature in them to start to work them. But Ferrari are very good at interiors. I like these sports seats. They're an extra as well, Daytona seats, and you can only lift them on the right. You pay £1,400 and you make the driver's seat go up and down. And I have a passenger readout over there as well for added entertainment. So that's sort of it. But yeah, they're just more practically imagined. There's a glove box there, for goodness sake. Who would have thought you'd have a glove box on an F8 Tributo? But you do. The wheel, just glorious. Such a statement of Ferrari now. Come wheel with the rev counter on the top, Manatino switch, bumpy road, hands-free, lovely. I mean, but you have got these blessed indicators on the wheel, no escape from those. So there you go, a quick run round the cabin. View out the back, compromised, but it's the engine there. I can see that sort of shape wobbling around, etc. So I'm going to disappear out now. One surprise, when I'm in auto, I'm in 5th gear. I'm only at 23 miles an hour. There's only 2 more gears to go, but that's part of the emission thing, etc. that they've sort of extraordinary. I remember that Aventador, that was the similar, but the DCT gearbox on here is terrific. Right, I'm heading out of the village. You're going to join us a bit later on some better roads. Initial impressions are, it's civilised, this car. It shouldn't be this civilised, but it is. It does. I've got it in sport, where it doesn't feel sporty at all at the moment. It feels very relaxing, slurs the gear change, quiet, rides better than you expect. A little bit of road noise from those Cup 2 tyres, but nothing unexpected from that. But yeah, the sort of idea of running this on a daily basis might cross your mind in your first impressions on this car. I'm just going to put it into bumpy road. That is the magic button on a Ferrari, the fact you can soften the ride even more than it is as standard. But yeah, they know their stuff, the Ferrari boys. Also, just carbon brakes on this, they've been doing it, well, decades now, haven't they? And you just know they have, because there's no grabbing, they feel utterly natural on the brakes, which is just great. So it loses some marks though for not being able to see out the rear window. It's a little like the Countach or the F40. It's all slightly odd because you can't make out the cars behind, because it's just where the Lexion has that little vent is where a car sits. But let's just see what happens up here. I'm doing my usual sprint out of Burford, and I think this is where this car might change my mind of how it is. I'm at 33, 34, and here we go, and off we go. Oh. Right. Well, first of all, that's in race. You heard it light up the rear. It's plenty enough to spin the rear wheels. I'm still at 24 degrees on the tyres, and it's just ballistic. I feel sorry for motor journalists, because we're all running out of words to say, well, it's really quick. No, it's really, really quick. This car, if you want to accelerate from 35 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour, 1 second. Just 1 second. How crazy is that? That is sort of part of the frustration and the wonderful thing about this car. It's just so rapid. God, I hate these belts. Right, I'm going to press launch. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it launches. Just want a little bit more temperature into these tyres. Yes, suddenly it is pretty wild. I'm going to just put it down to sport. There is always power available. This is a turbocharged engine. The combination of incredible engine management and the dual clutch transmission means you're not really aware that it is a turbocharged engine from the power delivery. You are from the sound though, because they've piped in, they put a pipe just by one of the turbos and it comes out by the B pillar. So the noise now is dominated by sort of turbo whistle.
Now it is not very happy on this sort of rutted road here. The camber, it's coming all the way through. I'm surprised how much it's following cambers here actually. I think part of it is because it's on those Cup 2 tyres. This car was basically spec'd to do these car of the years. I think it missed Top Gear's Speed Week, but managed to make Evo's car of the year. I shouldn't really be saying that, but I think you'll see it appear there. And in Autocar as well. But God, dear me, it's hyperactive. It's funny, it's Pista, more relaxed version of Pista I expected. This doesn't, when you're on it, this feels very close to Pista to me. God dear, how do you keep your speed down in this car? Just a breath of throttle and you're in the wrong side of 60 miles an hour. Oh, I'm sorry officer, it's the car, it's not me. How much I got? 26 degrees in the tyres now. This is the last test before it goes on to winters, this car. I refuse to test it on winter tyres. Can't have a F8 Tributo without that. Let's see it around here. I'm going to be really quite careful here. Yeah, it will spin up in a moment. Just eats it. Absolutely eats it. And then the power on the way out. Oh, dear me. My goodness, what a machine this is. Has that light steering of Ferrari, but so pointy, so aggressively into the apex and round, and just the way it controls. I can't use the side slip today. I just don't think it's socially acceptable on a British B road to be trying that out. Right, summarising this car. Well, the dislikes first. I'm sort of not in love with the sound it makes. They've tried really hard, but they made a rod for their own back because 458 Speciale was, by its name, very special. And their current V12 is off the scale, extraordinary. This is very much dominated by the turbos. I quite like them, I fed that in, but it's not a pleasant sound, unfortunately. Second, the price. I know this is probably just this car, but the price of options, it's silly. £200,000 is an awful lot for a car. To add another 100,000 on, well, that's just plain silly. And I just hate these belts. I absolutely detest 4-point harness belts, fixed harness in a car on a road. You're way better off with a lap belt. Only order these if you really are going on track, and then other belts, there's better belts out there. But let's go to the lights. Let's just see it around here. Performance, extraordinary performance, and just the way it's engineered and the way it's so accessible. That's the trick with this Ferrari. How have they done it? The electronics, they're just a little kiss of oversteer. It feels controllable. All the steering, all the brakes. You feel so in tune with this car. It's not intimidating. And that is a massive achievement with a 720 horsepower, 570 something pound-foot of torque sort of car. I love the looks of it. It does look sharp to me, this car. I think it's ahead of McLaren, and I think for me, Lamborghini are in a bit of a rut. All the cars, the Huracan and the Aventador, are sort of similar. I want to see them break out of this. But this looks so sharp, so modern, and it's not as though the 458 was a better looking car. This has sort of brought it up and got better looking as it's gone through the facelift. That's a rare and a very masterful trick from the Ferrari Central Star division. The question is, would I buy one? Do you know what? I wouldn't. and it seems balmy when I've sort of summarised and, you know, celebrate everything about this car. But I just haven't got enough self-control to drive this car. It is so ridiculously, stupidly, crazy, rocket-powered fast that I would be going at illegal speeds all the time. You need to push it to really feel what this car is about. It's 7.8 seconds I've seen recorded to 200 kilometers an hour, this car. 7.8 to 125 miles an hour. My little Lotus Esprit, that's that's about 75 miles an hour at the same time, 7.8 seconds. Countach, 85 miles an hour. Ferrari F8 would be at about 95 miles an hour. This thing's doing 125 miles an hour in 7.8 seconds. That 1 second to go from 35 to 60. And yet it's so controllable. And that's where you really get to feel this car, the brilliance of the engineers, that side slip control that, you know, allows you to drift and feel as though you're a bit of a hero controlling it, but it's then with that 6.1 level of side slip control. Brilliant. You're going so flipping fast that the chances of you doing it on a daily basis are close to zero. And then if you do, you just get locked up. So it's a deeply frustrating car because I want to celebrate it, and I think what's going to come next is going to be higher tech. You've only got to look at the SF90 and think, is that the right direction to go for a road car? I'm just not sure. So it's with regret, I can't say hand on heart, this is the most amazing Ferrari. It's even quicker than the Superfast, 812 Superfast. That's how mad it is. If I owned a track, perhaps if I lived in Italy and there was a different attitude towards speed, I could own this. But here, unfortunately, in our highly policed roads, I can't. I'll just look at it, get frustrated with it. So there you go, there's my summary of the F8 Tributo. A wonderful piece of engineering, but maybe just a bit too fast for its own good. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, well, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon. Oh, dear me.